What is up, Scrubs? I'm back with a video. Union Force is out. Buck Lane still doesn't have a regional, but it got close to having a regional because this LA event has 185 people, which is great. Integrated Gaming is recording it because they had problems with the interwebs. That damn Loch Ness monster. That's fine. Anyways, though. Day 1 format, week 1 format. This is super exciting. This is my favorite time of year for games in general is when a new set gets released because the format changes. And it's one of my favorite things to do in the entire world is to build decks. Whenever a new format changes, I do it as quickly as possible. I start brewing immediately, writing deck list immediately. I've been brewing for weeks before the set's even been released, theory crafting about what I want to do and what the format's going to look like. And so far, all my evidence has pointed me to a particular set of decks that I think, of course, are evidence they're already seeing play in the LA event. But if we look at just decks we're going to see from set 1 format, I still think Cold Bloodlust deck is still going to be relevant in the game because Cold Bloodlust is still one of the best cards in the game. Vegeta as a leader is still one of the best leaders in the game. Self-Awakening is real good. Critical is real good. Denying your opponent's cards is real good. So I know that deck's still going to stick around. But set 2, week 1, 3 decks you're going to see. Cell variants. So I think Blue-Green Cell, in my opinion, is probably the best deck for Cell. So I think that deck's going to be, of course, really prevalent. Next is going to be Mono Blue Zamasu. Deck is extremely strong, hard to play against, hard to play around, and especially in a week 1, day 1 format, people are going to have a difficult time playing against that deck. And it's real good. It has a really good way to get to the late game because the Zamasu leader gives it the extra turns it needs to, and it has great finisher. 10-drop Zamasu is amazing, and it's indestructible, and indestructible is real good, especially against removal. And then, of course, you have Vegito. Vegito is great. Vegito decks are amazing. I'm going to be doing a Vegito deck profile after this small rant I'm doing about the format. But so in the way that in testing the decks have played out against one another, Cell tends to lose to Zamasu because he can't deal with indestructible threats and the pressure that indestructible threats provide, and he ends up running himself out of resources because he's trying to stay alive. And of course, Zamasu on the front side doesn't have to flip until he's truly threatened. So you can get yourself to 1 life. Wait for your opponent to swing with something that's truly meaningful, then awaken, and then you can start playing your game. So you can really make the 7-drop Cell feel worse. So I really like Zamasu in a format where Cell is really prevalent. I think there are only a handful of Zamasu decks at the LA event, and shout out to Dakota, part of Team Integrated Gaming, for finishing 9th with Zamasu, just out of top 8. And I think that's a great finish for him, and also just shows that even with a small number in the field and Cell being a large portion of the field, that Zamasu is still really strong. Next we have fantasy football update. It is Sunday, but anyway, the next deck, of course, being we talked about Cell. Cell has great removal, and removal is real important. And Cell has a good matchup against Vegito because of the removal aspect of it. And the fact that it can just kill threat after threat after threat with no problem, and then present, of course, 7-drop Cell to close out the game when needed. And then Vegito actually has a really good matchup against Zamasu. So flavorful like the show, Vegito has a great matchup against the few Zamasu, mostly because of the fact that it can present threat after threat after threat and just threaten to mill them out if they present too many threats on the board. And then, of course, just has an overpowering presence as a leader once you activate the ability, which is the deck that I'm profiling is trying to do that. It's trying to activate the backside of it, trying to make it as relevant as possible throughout the course of a game, and just overwhelm the opponent with the amount of threats that we're going to be able to present throughout the course of a game. So I think those are the big 3 decks in week 1 from set 2 that you can look out for. And going into weeks after, then you'll start to see, I think Goku Black gets a better shape in the metagame as long as Cold Bloodlust decks start to take a downturn, because Cold Bloodlust decks and yellow decks tend to lose to Zamasu because Indestructible don't care. Indestructible don't care about your Cold Bloodlust. They're just going to keep turning sideways every turn. And so I think Goku Black gets better because accelerating to Goku Black, the H-drop, playing the H-drop, and then setting the Zamasu player back 3 energy is insane. It'll win you the game rather easily. And then, of course, I think Team Gohan, the Triple Strike, somebody performed really well at LA already. It was Tim Palacios. I know that he also was at Panini Worlds last year, so I know that he's a really talented TCG player. He did really well with a Gohan Triple Strike deck at the LA event, barely missing out on top cut, only with 1 loss, I believe. I think he was 5-1-2, something like that. But otherwise, those are some decks you can be on the lookout for going in the coming week. And then, of course, Aggro Droids. That deck's going to be solid. whether if it's the Union Force build or the Twin Bro, Twin Sis build with the 5 drops being closers a lot of the time. I really like the either build of the deck, whether it's the Union Force build or it's the Droids deck. So otherwise, without further ado, let me go ahead and do the deck profile. I know you guys have been waiting for that. So let me go over my Vegito deck that I've been testing. Has had a lot of success against Zamasu so far, and has actually a really good match. I kind of minimize how bad the Cell matchup is, and I'm getting a lot better at playing against the Cell matchup as Vegito because I just keep grinding games against it and just trying to find the best way to, you know, play that matchup in general, which is another thing I love about starting to play test this that early is I already have a lot of the knowledge, and then now I just get to expand upon it, and then all my theories I had about playing the different matchups I get to put into practice and then test them and then tweak them as I go along. So let me go into the deck profile with a sweet transition. Make this tilted like that. Let's back this up a little bit. Okay. Triggered. Alright, we're getting there. We got there. Matt's a little off kilter. That'll be alright. I'll put the cards down straight. Alright, so we're going to start with Vegito Leader. Front side is really important. Mills a card off the top of your deck whenever you swing. You need it to be a red card, which the majority of my deck is, as you see, will end up being red. And so this gives me a 15k body as a leader instead of a 10k body. And this is relevant, especially if your opponent flips before you. You can turn this sideways, become 15k, and make them waste a card in order to not take a life of damage, which is really great because it helps you keep your opponent low on cards, and at the same time furthers your game plan and your win condition, which your win condition is going to be presenting as many double strike threats as possible in order to close out a game, which is relatively easy in this deck, and the leader helps bring that along. Vegito becoming a 20k double striker, drawing a card on his backside is extremely strong, and of course we get to have 3 different color energy when we play this deck. So of course you have the backside, the awakened side. We all know what it does. Like I stated before, once you have 10 Goku and Vegeta in the drop area, he gains plus 5k in double strike whenever he swings, and of course when he swings, auto draw a card. Love this card, love this leader, and again this deck tries to maximize on that. So now let me go over the list for you guys. So now we have 4 Kind Saiyan Son Goku. Love this card in the deck. It's going to find your next land drop if you need to, or it's going to find your next threat, or it's going to find the card that you can use to help yourself awaken. But Kind Saiyan Son Goku really strong in the deck. I don't play this against Cell often. I don't want to give Cell any fuel to be able to put cards under his front side without him losing value. So if he wants to just put a card underneath himself just to do it, that's fine, but I'm not going to give him a threat to kill in the process unless that's going to be beneficial for him to do so. So I don't really play this again in the Cell matchup. Against Zamasu, I will play it, go ahead and stay at card parity, and of course the fact that it can later evolve into something that I need it to, so I like it in the Zamasu matchup. Otherwise, Kind Saiyan Son Goku, good start to the deck. It is the one drop in the deck. This deck is real top heavy, you're going to notice that, but it plays out really well when you actually play the games live. 4 Divine Aid Vados. 10k boost, draw a card. I don't need to explain more about this card, and it is red. That's important. 3 Mighty Attack Son Goku. Good attacker in the deck. Again, I'm not really playing it against Cell unless I can swing with it one time, get crit in, just to, you know, make them lose a card, and then otherwise they'll end up killing on their turn. But I do like the card in the deck. If I had the super expensive Tournament Pack 1 promo, I'd probably play 3 of those instead, just because it has great synergy, because most of my attackers are red anyway, and of course it's a good hit off of one of the cards later in the deck. So you could go either way. Either way, a lot of the times it ends up being a land drop, but if you had the red one, it could end up being more beneficial for you, especially if you're trying to just push for lethal. But otherwise, it's a good card in the deck. Next, we have 3 Furious Shell Vegetas. This is a part of your removal package as well as a part of your awakening package, because you need to make sure you have plenty of cards to help you do that, just in case your opponent's trying to stall you. But the bright side about your opponent trying to stall you is that you can still pressure them with your front side, and you have cards that get better if your opponent keeps you low on cards. Also, I like Furious Shell Vegeta because he has great synergy, because you place a card from your life in the drop area, and a lot of the times it'll end up being a Goku or Vegeta card, so it helps build up your Vegito leader to help us get to that 10 threshold. That's one thing I need you guys to keep in mind when you're playing this deck. You want to get to 10, whether if it's comboing, making sure you get one of your threats killed, you want to get to 10 of those in the drop area. So again, your backside is threatening every single turn. So really like Furious Shell in the deck. Next, more removal, 3 Raging Attacker Vegetas. Really like this card in Cold Bloodlust matchups, because even if they Cold Bloodlust it when you play it on their turn, you're going to go into your turn untapping and having a double striker threat on the table, which is great. So any card that you can play in your opponent's turn in those matchups is really beneficial. And of course, it's just good removal. Anything 4 or less, whether it's killing an opponent's opposing Beerus or anything beneath that, it's great. Also kills an opposing Kale. So good card, solid card. I like it a lot. Does a lot of work in the deck. Next we have 3 Relentless Super Saiyan 3 Son Goku. This card has overperformed in testing. I need to stress that. This card is overperformed in testing. The double strike is great. The auto when it comes into play, gaining plus 5k, so being a 25k double striker is great. And then the permanent, can't be KO'd by skills. This card is real hard to kill for your opponent, especially if they're trying to kill with a Beerus or any sort of source of removal that's skill-based. This card just lives through it, and they basically have to deal with this threat turning sideways almost every turn if you can protect it, and it's a great hit off of one of the cards later in the deck if we need it to be. But otherwise, I love this card. I love testing with this card. You guys should actually try it out in a lot of your builds. Next, we have 3 of the promo. 5-drop Goku. Again, a part of your Awakening package. And then, of course, just in general, the ability to give yourself a double striker with crit is so strong. We saw that with Vegeta in set 1 with Furthering Destruction Chop Up plus Vegeta leader. And then, of course, it evolves for a blue and 2. So the evolve is really easy to do. So in a lot of your matchups, if you get to stick a Kind Son or a lower drop Goku, you can evolve into this, awaken that same turn, and you can put a ton of pressure on the opponent. So really like this card in the deck. Next, we have 3 Vegeta Princess Beats. As you can tell, 3 is a really big number when you're playing Vegito. Again, just a great card. It can be a tricolor land if you need it to be. Otherwise, when you play it, you're drawing 2 cards. And it's a great hit when you get to play it for free, and I'll show you how we do that later. Of course, you guys already probably have a solid idea right now. But Princess Speed, great card. Any card that draws you 2 cards feels pretty good. Next, this is one of our only 4 ofs. Super Saiyan 3 Gotenks. This is a defining card in our format. This is one of the most important cards in the game right now. And if your opponent can't defend themselves to a Gotenks, their deck is going to lose very quickly within a tournament and not perform well. This deck plays Gotenks like it's candy. It wants to play it as much as possible, as often as possible, and it wants to prevent threats every turn. And this deck does a really good job of keeping its hand size relatively low, so the double strike does become active a lot of the time. Some keys when you're playing with Super Saiyan 3 Gotenks: never attack with him first, always attack with a token first. That way you don't have to take the risk of getting Mafuba and losing your double strike ability that you wanted to have. And then, of course, a big play is if you swing with either your leader or a token and you present tokens on the field and your opponent uses a Sensu Bean, just stop attacking. Don't risk turning 1 to 2 tokens sideways and getting them killed by your opponent's leader and letting them draw a card for free. Protect your tokens as best as you can if you know you're going to be able to get through, swing with them. And then, of course, if you can bait a Sensu Bean, do it. I know that in my own Cell deck that's been performing really well. I know my buddy Paul, who played in the LA event, we worked on the Cell deck together. He did really great, and we ran 4 Sensu Beans main deck because we felt that it was extremely relevant in the token matchups. So Super Saiyan 3 Gotenks, super strong in this new format. Love this card. It's probably like a finisher in the deck for sure. And next we have 3 Awakening Rage Son Gokus. It is conditional removal because it removes up to 6 energy worth of threats, but this is great in the mirror against token threats, and then of course it's great against just anything because you're killing up to a 6-drop threat, or you're just killing multiple things. And as a hit off of another one of the cards we play in the deck, which is my last battle card that I'll be going over, which I'm certain you guys already have an idea of. And of course, just another double striker, another threat on the table. Okay, last we run 3 Babidis. 3 feels like a great number for Babidi. I don't want to play 4. 4 feels like too much. 3 feels just right. Oftentimes you'll end up casting 2 of these per game. And oftentimes when you do that, since we play 4 Gotenks, if you haven't drawn all your Gotenks, you're going to be hitting a Gotenks and something else. Some plays you'll end up savaging somebody and hitting double Gotenks. Some plays you'll end up savaging somebody and hitting a Gotenks and an Awakening Rage Son Goku. Sometimes you hit a Princess Speed and then the Relentless Super Saiyan 3 Goku. This card is value. It's pure value. This card's amazing in the Vegito based decks just because of all the threats that you get to play in the main deck. So this is a key part of the deck. It often ends up being the win condition, and chaining these together in the Cell matchup is huge because they can only kill 1 threat per turn with their leader, and a lot of times you're running them out of their negates and all their protective cards extremely quick. So Babidi, one of the most important parts, if not the most important part of the deck. Extra cards. I know these aren't really the most important thing, but to me, the ratios you might guys find fascinating or you like. 3 Whis Coercion. I play 3 because I like to play other negates in the deck. I think a total in the deck around a total of 7 negates, 3 Whis Coercion, and then 4 others. but I like the flexibility to just give me with 1 energy, so I play 3 main deck. I have to run 3 Objection. 3 Objection feels like the right number to me. I don't want to see 4 because I don't want to get clogged on them, and I hate comboing with the Divine Aid Vados and drawing an Objection. So the more I can reduce my chances of doing that, especially in game 1, the better off I am. I could side up to a 4th Objection if I feel the Zamasu matchup is reliant on me getting Objection off, whether if I'm on the play or the draw. Every game that I've played so far, and I've played Objection on the play on turn 2 or turn 3, I feel like I've won those games because I've been able to get to my threats quicker. So Objection, important part of the deck, but I don't like playing 4. I like playing this over a Bulma Whis package because you don't have to take up the extra slots with Bulma and Whis. So, really big fan. Alright. Next we have 2 Mafubas. Card's great. 2 feels like the best number in all the decks I've been playing so far. Being able to kill someone's Jiren if they're going to be swinging in on you, or being able to, not kill them, but just being able to stop them from swinging, or it's good against the 10 drops of Masu. Yeah, you're not dealing with it, and you're still taking the life and everything, and you're still losing all those cards, but you're stopping it from being able to untap and do it again the next turn. So this helps you bridge to your win condition in that matchup. 2 Zen-Oh Buttons. Zen-Oh Button is surprisingly live in this deck. A lot of times you're going to end up having 5 to 6 Goku or Vegeta down in your energy, and it allows you to tap out for Babidi on the turn you need to, and then play a Zen-Oh Button if your opponent tries to crack back at you. So I love Zen-Oh Button in this deck. 2 Father-Son Kamehameha. Card's been really good in all my testing so far because people like to play their threats early, whether it be Union Force stuff, Union Evolve, Batara, whatever. This can kill those threats when they get to play them for cheaper, especially great against any deck that runs Cell. The 7-drop with Cell's Birth. And then lastly, we have 2 Full Power Energy. I just like the additional removal in the deck. Good negate, no issues here. So otherwise, solid card, like it. So the deck gets plenty of removal just from the cards that we play, and we give ourselves some flexibility with our negates, which I really like. And Vegito, that's the best part about Vegito, is he allowed deck flexibility. So with your extra card, you guys can kind of do whatever you want. Again, as always, my decks are really meant to be as shells. You can take whatever you want from there, extrapolate, and try and get to where you want to go. If you want to change the deck, go for it. Otherwise, though, this has been my Vegito deck profile. I really hope you guys enjoyed it, and I just want to tell you guys, let me get my face back in here, even though it's not the prettiest thing. I just want to tell you guys that your feedback has been amazing and crucial to my channel's success so far. I'm closing in on 200 subscribers, which is more than I was at a week ago, and my videos are getting a lot of views. Again, this is my favorite time of year. Deck building is definitely my passion. I can't always respond to everybody in a timely fashion like I wish I could, just because of life, and a lot of times when I have free time I'm playing Super, so I don't respond as quickly as I can. But again, I appreciate all you guys for your feedback and everything you've done for the channel. Please be sure to follow Intricate Gaming. We're going to be posting YouTube videos and recordings of the event in LA, so you guys can get a recap there and just see the format unfold for yourself. Otherwise, I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. Again, I appreciate all your feedback, all your love and support, and being Scrubscribers. Please subscribe to 3x3 Productions. Please check out the Dragon Ball Super Community Discussion Group on Facebook. You can find me there often, jumping in on some of the random conversations about the game itself, because I'm super passionate about it. But otherwise, I appreciate you guys watching the video and all the support, again, that you're giving me. And I hope this video helps you get good, you scrubs. Get out of here. Okay, bye!